feel free to chime in. Any questions that come up, anything on your mind, hey, just share it with the group, because the better we communicate to each other, I think that it will help better understand what we're trying to do here. So thank you very much once again for that introduction. All right, so hold up, I got this meeting is recording. Is that me? Okay. All right, so there we are. This is the Road Home program. Can you hear me okay, Cassandra?
Yes, I did. I was just letting you know I started the recording of the.
Boy, I didn't touch any. I didn't touch any buttons. So, I just, once again, I'm not going to touch anything. We're going to try to advance the slides one at a time. But this is the Road Home program, and that's our shield representing the pathway to healing. And this is the 4 cornerstones that our program is geared towards. And of course, top left is the most important thing is mental health care to veterans. But I also want to share a little bit about, we do currently serving service members. The program is maturing and evolving to where we want to make sure that we're helping all those who may be suffering from post-traumatic stress, military sexual trauma, as well as traumatic brain injury. So focus on the veterans, but also start to migrate towards providing services for currently serving service members, whether they're active duty, reserve, or National Guard. So that's important for you all to understand as we move through this presentation. Sliding to the right, support for families. We know families are a huge part of the effort to heal our veterans, and they are directly impacted by the veterans because of their proximity. They live with the veterans and they're experiencing what the struggles of the veterans are going through. So we provide support programs. We educate them. We try to provide skills and some tools that they can take with them and help their veteran move forward and continue it in healing. So as you heard my intro, I'm a big family guy. Couldn't have done it without my wife during my long career. So definitely we look to help our family members. Bottom left, outreach and education. That's what I do. I'm a trainer, prior service Army, a lot of training. I went ahead and moved into the higher education community. And that's where I've been the last few years. Worked at the University of Chicago, as you heard, National Louis University. Now I'm at Rush University Medical Center. Falling in the right place, ladies. First off, Rush University is at the forefront of the fight of this pandemic. I'm honored to be part of this institution that's literally, they have saved many, many lives this past year on the physical side. But, when it comes to the invisible wounds, we're there to help treat our folk, the people in our community, veterans and service members. They're dealing with those invisible wounds. So combined shared effort, amazing work is being done by our entire team. And then, of course, the last block on the right, lower right, is our research component is very, very important, very valuable when it comes to treatment of post-traumatic stress and ways forward of how we can improve our processes, improve our treatments. This program initially started 7 years ago, very, very small, and expanded and grew to a 3-week program. But when COVID hit, we truncated our program down to a 2-week program. And that's what we currently have, is a 2-week program. So the research has shown that even if we lessen the amount of time that the treatment they're receiving, they're still having the same gains in their health, their mental health. So that's a good news story. So our research team's engaged out in the community, once again, sharing the information, trying to grow our program. Lower left, that picture, that image of the Wounded Warrior Project, we are funded by the Wounded Warrior Project, so one of our main funders. 3 or 4 years ago, they provided a $45 million grant to our organization. We developed a beautiful state-of-the-art facility that doesn't look like a clinical setting. If you're ever down on the west side of Chicago, you want to come by and stop in on the campus of Rush. I'd gladly give you a tour. Amazing facility. And then the lower right is the Warrior Care Network, which we belong to. There's 4 academic medical centers that are part of this Warrior Care Network. It's Massachusetts General, that's the home-based program. Emory University has a program, as well as UCLA. So that's the Warrior Care Network in a nutshell, and how we make it go to care for our veterans. That's our mission, pretty straightforward. That first word is pretty strong, but I've witnessed the compassion that they share for our clients, all our veterans, and even on the Rush Medical Center side, they live their values, and I'm really amazed at it, because it's easy to talk it, but it's more difficult to walk it. And bear with me. Excuse me, I've been speaking a little bit today. Yeah, so our job is to provide compassionate care, holistic care, additional services to help them navigate their post-care treatment, to help them deal with their invisible wounds of war and life, because it's all combined together when it comes to the mental health issues that we struggle with. We want to empower our veterans and our service members, once again, to learn skills and grow as a person, to help them move forward in their lives. So that's what our mission is, to empower our folks, to help them live their lives to the fullest. And I mentioned the values, they live these values, and I'm truly impressed at it, because we know it's easy to talk it and brief it, but it's another thing to actually live the values. So I am very proud and honored to be part of this institution. Okay, there's our team, and we couldn't do it without a team. World-class professionals. I am truly impressed by our staff. Blend of military. There's a veteran component to our clinicians, but the majority of our non-military, and to see the dedication that they give on a daily basis to our men and women. We just started a cohort yesterday. We have 11 veterans in for care for a 2-week program, and they're about to embark on a journey. It's going to be very intensive. They're going to work while they're here, but that's why they come here, is to gain, once again, these skills and tools that our team can share with them. And there's a rundown of the staff we have here. Very professional, very dedicated. And the last bullet on the left-hand side, I'm a big proponent of our chaplain. We have a staff chaplain. He's engaged with, he provides spiritual wellness for our veterans. Because not everybody, is tied into a specific religion. So our chaplain is all about just providing spiritual wellness to our folks, because that's sometimes that's what they want. They just want to be elevated spiritually. Going on the other side, there's outreach coordinators, our research team, and then of course our administrative specialists. Our guys behind the scenes, folks, make things happen. Amazingly, I'll talk about the details, but they're the ones that from start to finish, of intake to bringing them here, providing that top-notch, world-class service that our folks deserve. So that's a quick rundown. And then we also offer outpatient care. It's kind of it's a great piece for our community here in Chicago. For those who live here in the city, they can commute to our clinic. They are more than welcome to receive inpatient care. So, for example, they're having some issues with anxiety or depression, or they're just looking to have a conversation with the therapist, they can come to our facility. If they can't make it to our facility, they can also visit us virtually. So it's a great tool. I also want to share this for those people who are in soldiers who are in the reserves or the guard component. We can be a resource, actual service for service members who don't want to elevate their care seeking to their chain of command. So we can be kind of a little bit under the table backdoor approach. So we're all confidential. We're not affiliated with the VA any way, shape, or form, but we can be a wonderful resource for our service members who might need help. Are there any questions to this moment? And at the moment, any questions whatsoever, ladies? Okay. There's a little bit of a background of what's gone on these last 20 years or so, and it's winding down. Thankfully, our mission in Afghanistan is going to be closed out here shortly. So we'll be seeing less and less of our folks exposed to combat in that theater. But we know things happen elsewhere, whether it's in a deployment or a training event where our service members can experience trauma. The reality is, the fact is that, there's service members who have had multiple deployments, which kind of sets us apart from previous generations. The Vietnam era was unusual for our service members to have more than one tour, but our service members have been called on hard for multiple tours. In fact, not a lot of breaks involved, so there's some stressors there. And our National Guard and Army Reserve components have been a big part of our effort, whether it's downrange, overseas, or within CONUS, the Continental United States. Once again, reiterating the fact that there are services and support available for our reserve component and National Guards folk, because they've been called to do a lot of hard work. specifically this past year in defense and reacting to whatever they're doing, national disasters, defense of the Capitol, so on and so forth. So I want to make sure that you understand. And then that lower left picture, that image that's the mothership. That is Rush headquarters. I think, is that where you work out of, Cassandra? So that's where all the good work during this pandemic's happened. So I just want to give a little shout out to the big Rush house right there. So veterans and service member suicide. We are a suicide prevention, business. Basically, we are in the process. Sadly, this is what happens. There's been a decrease with most recent data that's been released, which is a good news story. So that 20 has come down to about 18, 17, 18, but they've also brought in the National Guard and the reserve component. So it's hovering still around 20 days, sadly. But that first bullet is just amazing because of within the last decade, it died during the Vietnam War is just totally hard to comprehend. So that's where our work lies ahead of us, is to prevent our brothers and sisters from going down this pathway. There's that stigma we're all familiar with, right? And that's one thing, as you heard in the intro, I'm working on within dealing with talking to our fellow citizens, right? Having conversations outside of our military bubble, our veteran community, and trying to dispel some of these stigmas and these dilemmas that we're the narrative that's in our society. We're not brainwashed. Not everyone has a psychological disorder, but after this pandemic, think about it, how much trauma's in our communities right now. So once again, there's some opportunities here within the veteran military community that we can, bring this issue to the forefront and take the step forward to show our fellow citizens it's okay to seek care when you're struggling with invisible wounds. Not everybody joined the military because they couldn't go to college. Some people struggled to find work, but some of them did join because they needed work. Sure. That fourth bullet, the 30% of service members, it's a pretty high number. Some suffer more than others, but once again, the treatment is there, available as needed. And that's where we come in as a community to, encourage our people to get the help that they earned and deserve. And that last bullet, of course, I touched on, not everybody, exposed to trauma will react a certain way or a different way. But a lot of times with trauma, we've known that it takes years for it to manifest itself. So the sooner, we can have a conversation, earlier we can, get an idea of what they're struggling with, the better, because earlier treatment is better, is what they're finding now. The Vietnam era veterans, think about it, 50 years on, there's many that are still struggling. This generation has an opportunity to not struggle. It's here. The treatment is here. It's just once again our society understanding that this is the time for us to move forward and allow folks to get the care that they deserve. And this last bullet right here, there's the message, right? There's the message. It's a sign of strength to go seek care. And when I speak to our veterans, when they come to our program, that's what I share with them. It's not easy to ask for help. It's not even harder when it comes to mental health, right? So it shows personal courage. It shows ownership, is what I explain to them. You're taking ownership of your mental wellness, and that's to me what it's all about. So, anybody have any comments, suggestions, complaints at the moment? Are we doing okay?
Hey, Ramon, this is Cassandra.
Yes.
And the video that that we had talked about that I wanted to share was the one that I did talking about PTSD. And that was one of the things that was put on there, is that PTSD is not a sign of weakness. And that's why a lot of veterans and people don't want to admit that they have PTSD, because they look at it as a disease. And I don't like the disorder word. I tend to say syndrome. Yeah. But it's hitting more people now since the pandemic. It did in 2020 because of being shut up in the house or whatever. But Rush actually have a event going on the 10th. And they're talking about mental health awareness. And that's one of the things, living with PTSD, OCD, and any other mental illnesses that will come your way.
Okay. By all means. No, great point. And that's it right there. And you know, the military culture, the mindset, and somebody slipped in a hua earlier, you know, that stuff doesn't really help anyone because, you know, you still struggle with what you have. So yeah, the opportunity and the active duty component needs to start getting on board and allowing men and women to seek treatment while in service. Because what happens is once they leave service, they no longer have to maintain a military brain. There's no rules or regulations hovering over them, and they tend to let loose. So that's my challenge to our active component and our reserve and National Guards leadership to let our men and women, get the care that
But Ramon,
they need. Yes.
part of the issue with getting help while you're on active duty for PTSD can be a big hit.
Oh, I know that. But that needs to change too. Yeah, that needs to change.
So it's a lot more than just the veterans or the service member seeking help. It has to go from the top down
without a doubt.
and getting them to buy in on it.
By all means. Great point. Thank you. Okay. Hold up. It just kind of went to sleep on me. Stand by. There we go. Oh, whew. Thank you. Okay, some of the challenges within the healthcare arena when it comes to veterans and service members when receiving care and treatment. So you know, there's that gap between the military and the civilian world, and so when veterans are in the private sector seeking care, a lot of times healthcare providers struggle, you know, understanding the veteran. So we educate our healthcare providers to understand what what to look for when it comes to dealing with veterans and their families, and helping reduce the stigma when it comes to seeking services, because the healthcare providers face-to-face, primary care manager is having conversations with the veteran, and so it's important that they are able to understand the veteran to possibly refer them to additional resources. So once again, education, ongoing communication to our healthcare providers, our healthcare workers, so that they can understand the veteran community. But with that being said, I always encourage veterans to not hide behind that veteran title, but be more open and explaining and communicating who you are and what is going on with you, and taking ownership once again for yourself. So it's a shared effort. Healthcare providers can't read minds. But it's up to the individual, like with any patient, to ensure that they're communicating to their provider. So in the event that there's a barrier there to care, that's where the Road Home program comes in. You know, we're there to supplement and support those healthcare providers as needed. So keep that in mind as we move forward. I pressed the button. It's thinking. 1 second. Okay. There was just a message that came up. Admit somebody. I just admitted them because I'm the. I guess you gave me the administrative privileges. Bear with me, Cassandra. I just admitted another attendee. Okay, but now my screen's frozen up again. Oh boy, 1 second. Oh, okay. There's where we're at. Care for veterans, service members, and their families. We have. Actually, the Broadview Clinic just recently stood down. So we have clinics in Chicago as well as Southern Illinois and Effingham, Illinois. We have integrative therapies. For those of you that are familiar with the supplemental therapies, art therapy as well as mindfulness. This is during our programming. Yes.
Sorry, one question. So the one in Broadview closed down?
They're in the process of renegotiating their lease there, so yeah, it's kind of at a halt right now, yeah, unfortunately. Okay. But they're still welcome to come right down in Eisenhower Expressway to our shop, right? Without a doubt. So you know, there's access to care there, and we do virtual also. So sorry, yeah, that's a recent update. But yeah, integrative therapies. We encourage folks to art therapy, mindfulness, yoga. Anything on the spiritual side, anything to help them once again with their struggles that they're dealing with. Our treatment, I mentioned, talks about post-traumatic stress, military sexual trauma, anxiety, depression, anything linked into their mental wellness. So yeah, we're there for them. And our support groups are a big part of our efforts when it comes to supporting our team, our folks that peer-to-peer. So that's veterans to veterans. The DYLAV is Do You Love a Veteran? It's a support group for family members that are looking for others who are struggling within their families for post-traumatic stress.
Really, and Charlie could write the best seller for how to survive veteran parents.
I'm sorry? Somebody say something?
Kid, did you say something?
I was just telling my boyfriend about the support group for family members.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
Nice. Good deal. Yeah, there it is. So the support groups are there being operated virtually. Everyone's welcome. You know, there's no therapy involved, so they can come in, call in, they can dial in from out of state. You know, there's no licensing issues there. So wonderful stuff. So we're looking to hopefully kick those back off in person here later on this summer. And there's our IOP, our intensive outpatient program. So what we do is we focus on post-traumatic stress, reducing those symptoms of all evidence-based, intensive. I did mention that earlier. So when they come here, they're in for 2 weeks, they're here. Their programming is from 8 in the morning till 5 in the evening. They have both individual and a group therapy sessions. And then of course their integrative therapies are tied in with them. Their evenings are free for themselves. They stay at the Illinois Medical District Guest House. Time off for them to relax in the evening. They're also given homework assignments. So, you know, they're reinforcing what they learned during the day. The two types of tracks are combat as well as MST. About 16 to 24 right now, we're not there yet, but we're gradually increasing our capacity. So we're looking to you all to spread the good news of, you know, who we are and what we do. Help us get our folks to the program that they deserve. That last bullet, no cost. WWP pays for everything. You know, it's pretty amazing, but there's also other philanthropists that contribute to our program. So it's all expenses paid to mental wellness. We're transitioning into doing some, there's going to be some pays now. We're going to start receiving some insurance, you know, to grow the program a little bit, but there's no barriers to care. So if the veteran can't afford it, they're going to still receive the care. Great partnerships with our local VAs, not only Jesse Brown and Hines up there in Lovell, great stuff happening. We treat any veterans of any era. So I will say that again, any veterans of any era, Vietnam veterans can come to our program. Korean War veterans, if they're still around, can come to our program. I'm not saying the WW tours, but any conflict, any era of veterans can receive care, which is amazing. So we've had a couple of Vietnam vets come through since I've been here, and great to see them come through. So never too late. All discharge statuses. So, you know, you can get OTH, you know, I guess dishonorables, I haven't seen any come through, but we know stuff happens while in service, and some service members, you know, things happen. But I'm all about getting folks to rehabilitation if they're looking to, you know, get themselves rehabilitation. So we look them on a case-by-case basis. And then the last bullet's what I do, resource navigation. I sit down with the vet and we talk about post-treatment. Back home, what we do to keep you moving forward, connect you with some resources, some support groups, and yeah, just to keep our folks in the right pathway. And then down at the bottom, just to make sure that we can't treat everyone, and we understand it. So it's a rigorous intake process, and then if we can't care for our vets, we're going to find a place to refer them to. That's the most important thing. So there's plenty of resources. Marrying them up to the right facility is the key. But we're not going to just pull them in just to pull them in. We want to make sure that our treatment is what they need. Any questions? How am I doing on time? I don't want to keep running my mouth. Okay, so a little bit of some statistics right there, quick snapshots. Okay. You know, it tells you a little bit about completion rate. So that's not a bad completion rate. I like that last statistic at the bottom there. You know, once again, we do a lot. We do surveys. We do pre, we do during, we do post. They do a lot of data collection while they're here, and this is some of the results of the data that we've collected from the veterans who have attended our program.
And Ramon, I will say that I have used the Road Home program. Oh, we froze.
Outstanding. Good experience for you, hopefully.
Pardon?
Was it something that you would recommend others to participate?
Oh, of course, you froze. That's why I was hesitating. You froze. But yes, I would refer it and have
Sorry.
referred the Road Home program with the. But I also notice you have
Wonderful.
a member of the Wounded Warrior program. Can you tell us about that, or are you getting to that? Did I jump too fast?
The Wounded Warrior Project? Yeah, yeah. Well, they're our sponsor. No, you know, they're our funder. So, yeah, they're big part of who our success, and in the majority of our vets are our Wounded Warrior Project alum. You know, we encourage them to become part of the WWP program because you know they've gone through our program. So, yeah. All right. Talked a little bit about the families for sure. The thing I want you to take away from this slide is the veteran defines their family, and the veteran doesn't need to be connected to Road Home program. Okay, so if a veteran family finds out that you know they're struggling, they might need some help, they can come in to receive family care. If you know family group support, they can get here and have a conversation and start to learn a little bit about what their veterans experiencing. And then a lot of times what happens is the veteran sees the family member seeking help. What does that do? It motivates them to go get care. So it's up to the family member, but there's help there for family members, you know, and it's hard to break away because you think that you're not, you know, taking care of your veteran, but you're actually helping your veteran because yeah, you're making the initiative for your well-being. And it's all about building the resiliency. Any questions, comments? And that's it. We want to empower folks. We want to give them those skills, tools that they can start moving forward and continue to live a life of relative peace. This is my job right here. This is what I'm doing right now. I'm out in the community, spreading the good news, just connecting folks with services and letting them know that there is help out there. And that's the hardest part, right? You know, letting people know, having that conversation and encouraging folks to make that phone call. It's not easy. But I always tell them to keep in mind that you got a long life ahead of you, and the sooner you can get yourself, you know, moving in the right direction and to your healing, the better for everyone, your family, our community, our society. That's my message to my fellow veterans. And, you know, I'm a middle-aged veteran. I can only imagine what it's like to be a 23 or 24-year-old veteran, right? Being called a veteran at 23 or 24, yeah, challenging. Okay, research is once again part of our forte, and interacting and collaborating with other institutions is huge. We are looking to a 1-week IOP that is currently being researched. It's looking pretty promising. Once again, within the constructs of treating the PTSD and determining whether or not that 1 week can affect changes in behavior. So that is ongoing. It looks pretty promising. So once again, time is of the essence. It's hard to leave, you know, your life for 2 weeks at a time or 3 weeks to go get care. So if we can get care truncated down, meaningful and evidence-based care in a 1-week program, that I think that we're heading in the right direction. So it looks really good. Telehealth research is there. We're moving the needle, and I'm really proud of that. And that's where you can contact me. I'm available for questions, comments, concerns. I always take suggestions. Please don't call between the hours of midnight, 5 a.m. Just kidding. I try not to pick up but I'm available. I tell my vets to help them navigate what they need to, once again, get themselves moving forward. Yeah, to get on with their lives. I'm open to any questions and comments.